Welcome everyone to Sydney Design Thinking 115, where we're celebrating NAIDOC Week. Hopefully everyone knows it's NAIDOC Week, and also celebrating Indigenous entrepreneurship and innovation. So we've got an awesome lineup I can't wait to hear from and learn from. And to kick off, I'm going to introduce Tshinta, who I have the privilege of hanging out with at UTS TD School, and she's going to do a quick acknowledgement and tell us about NAIDOC.
Hello everyone, and happy NAIDOC Week. This is my favourite week. I'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that we are gathered on Gadigal land, the land of the Gadigal people. For thousands of generations, the Gadigal people have cared for this land, its waters, their community, guided by deep cultural knowledge and connection to country. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to all First Nations people present here in the room today. This year's NAIDOC Week theme, The Next Generation, Strength, Vision and Legacy, marks 50 years of celebrating and uplifting Indigenous voices, culture and resilience. When I reflect on the theme, legacy, to me, is very powerful. And examples that come to my mind is where I grew up in Redfern. So growing up in Redfern, it's a place of long-lasting history, activism, community, strength in culture and innovation. Home to groundbreaking organisations like the Aboriginal Medical Service and the Aboriginal Legal Services, in which elders, activists, leaders created huge impact. Today, their legacy thrives, grounded in cultural pride and strength. We honour the powerful legacy of our ancestors, the visionary spirit of our communities, and the rising strength of generations and leaders who are shaping the future. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. It's definitely a special week in the year, but hopefully the things that we celebrate and talk about during this week, hopefully reflect and put them into action all year round. So a quick thanks also to the little crew who lovingly bring this to you every month. So we've got at the back Lucas and Kate. Hello. Hello. And Kylie can't make it tonight, but Kylie's in the mix as well. And Lucas, did you want to do a quick shout out about the next couple of months coming up?
Yeah, sure. So next month we've got Matt Osborne and Rob O'Donnell. They're both awesome facilitators. They're also very, very funny people, if anybody knows them. We're going to be doing some corporate therapy sessions. So think about all those things that go wrong in business that really frustrate you as a designer. And how do you work within the context of crazy shit that goes on? How do we as designers come together, and how do you actually deal with that? And there's going to be a bit of fun and humour. That on the lighter side of things, obviously we want to be also conscious of the fact that therapy is something that's real as well. But we'll think about both those dimensions. But and then Frank, who's here today.
What are we going to do in September, Frank?
Get arrested. But just to sort of give a bit of an indication of what we're going to be doing in September, we're going to be running an actual interactive workshop, and the idea is to try and do something that'll get you arrested. And we'll share a little bit more later. So we'll make sure that
really fair.
Really fair. So, but there's some great frameworks that Frank's used to help with ideation and whatnot, and we're sort of going to play with that and have a bit of a fun activity. So if you've got some problems to solve, bring a team together and maybe solve your problems. We're also, Frank's running a social enterprise, so we're going to try and solve some of the problems for his social enterprise organisation at the same time.
And get arrested.
And get arrested. So so it should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you. And hit that QR code to go to one place where they all hang out. Somehow a slide has dropped out. Yeah. So thanks to our collaborators as well. So I'll stay on that one for now, so you can hit that QR code for longer. A big thanks to Michelle and Think Place, part of Synergy Group. Come on, everyone wants to know what Synergy Group is and what does that mean for Think Place now.
I'll do it from back here. Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. I'm one of the executive directors at Think Place. So we are the strategy, design and innovation arm of Synergy Group. We're a strategy and management consulting firm that works predominantly with the public sector. Want to know more? Reach out.
So that's the space we're in right now. So come to the pub. You going to come to the pub this time? You haven't got 9 p.m.'s good. So this is definitely part 1 of the meetup. When we're here, we go to the Strawberry around the corner for part 2 of the meetup. So don't bolt towards the end, come to the pub. And also a big shout out to Shapeshifters. Come and tell us a yarn. Come to the front, be on camera, don't kick the tripod.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Diana. This is Alan. We are from Shapeshifters. We're a communication design agency. What we do is we help teams and organizations transform communication challenges into meaningful messages.
Yeah.
And we do this through several different ways, but one of our superpowers is visual thinking. And it's basically the act of bringing what's in our heads, the ideas, into a shared space, making them tangible. And we love to encourage people to do that wherever they are in different contexts. And so we have a meetup that does just that. It's called Think Visual. It's every second Wednesday of the month.
Yes, the last one was yesterday.
Yes, that's right. And Alan, do you want to tell us a bit about what we're doing here today?
Yes, and we also have this little initiative that we've been doing with Sydney Design Thinking for almost a year now, where we mentor people who are interested in trying to integrate or learn how to use visual thinking in their in their own practice. And tonight we have designer Lucie up at the back over there, and she's going to be Lucie is going to be listening to the conversation as it goes, and what she'll be doing is she'll be creating key moments from this conversation. She'll do that through a combination of words and images. So it's happening live. So do check out what she's doing. Do definitely go and have a chat to her. And if you're interested in doing it yourself, please feel free to come up to us, and we'll have a chat about how we can make this happen for you. Cool.
Awesome.
Thank
you. And we need to make sure we remember to go and check out Lucie's live scribe at the end. See how it all came together. The other person on the slide who's magically disappeared is First Nations Finance. So Stephen, so collaborating to bring this one together. When I reached out to him in May, or very late May, and said 10th of July, he freaked out and thought it was 10th of June. So he was pretty pissed at me for a few days. He thought I gave him no notice. But even within ready for 10th of June, he lined up this awesome group of people to come and talk about and share some of their experience around innovation and entrepreneurship, especially from an Indigenous community perspective. So really looking forward to this. Thanks, Stephen, for bringing it all together. You had way more time than you thought I'd given you. But you still made it happen.
And Tim still was still uploading slides.
And for context, Stephen used to run production for films like Mad Max. So bringing really complex things together at short time frames is kind of something he's born to do. So, but a huge thanks to Stephen for collaborating and bringing us together. And I reckon it's time to... I haven't said who I am. Hi, I'm Ben. So other than Sydney Design Thinking, I'm also the founder of Dynamic 4. We're a social enterprise and B Corp, and we specialise in bringing regenerative leadership, design and innovation, bring those pieces together to help create the conditions for people and communities to be happier and live on a nice, healthy, clean planet. So that comes together in a bunch of ways, which I won't go into now, because let's get to the fun stuff. But if any of that rings bells and you're keen to have a chat, come and have a yarn. So game on. So the way it's going to work is we've got 4 pretty short talks, and I think Stephen's going to be giving the speakers dead eyes.
Yeah.
So we're going to do pretty lightning round talks, and then we'll have a panel where we can sort of unpack it and everything. So as you're hearing stuff and all the questions are coming up, don't lose them. Capture them and save them for the panel, because then Tshinta's going to host the panel and should love to hear the questions coming from the audience as well. So I'm going to get out of the way now because that's my favourite place. And I'm going to hand over to Tim to kick us off.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Sit down here or stand up?
You can do whatever you'd like now.
Thanks.
And that's yours.
Oh, your tablet. So next slide is.
The big arrow to the right.
Awesome. Thank you, by the way, for your intro. And this is a bit weird, but I also like to thank all the non-Indigenous custodians because we're kind of in an era now where we all look after the land together. And so I want to do this 3 simple parts. I'm going to be really, really quick because I've only got 25 slides. But my introduction, my name's Tim Moriarty. My dad's John Moriarty. He was, actually a fun fact, he started NAIDOC about many, many years ago. And it was National Aborigines Week. Yeah. And so it was trying to give us a voice. And he was the first Socceroo. And he had the flag designed with Harold Thomas. So crap. What am I going to do, you know? So that's me, thank you. Yeah, so my background is public art, but today I thought we'd talk about technology stuff because it's about innovation. And so I decided about 16 years ago. Here I am, very privileged. I'm in Borroloola watching all these amazing kids, and here I've got a drone, you know? We were talking about drones before. And, you know, all these kids have got this amazing spatial awareness. They look at the screen, they've never seen it before. They go, filming a soccer match. Oh, mister, you're missing that guy over there. And I looked at the screen, and this kid had never done anything like this, had the spatial intelligence to see, to correlate this to this to this. And I think, wow, there's some amazing stuff happening with their brains that's off the charts. So then I paralleled that to music. And again, I'm very lucky. I've got a wonderful music teacher. And I thought, what about these kids who've got no money, no resources, so much talent, way better brains than me. So I thought, how do we have a technology that allows anyone with any no skills whatsoever to create music? And so we built Muzo. So that's pretty much the second part of my talk. So I'll just go into it really quickly, so there's some parts to talk about. So it's AI powered. So about 5 years ago, I started to go, crap, if I don't do something, someone in China is going to have this idea and become a billionaire. And I'm going to become a billionaire, you know? It hasn't happened yet. So I thought there's a lot of technologies now that we started to build before, AWS and Azure and Google Colab, all these cloud services started to monetize and really had set systems. So I thought we started to create prototypes and we started to actually crack like the Canva is to design. Now, I apologise, Lisa, this is going to be an absolute mess for you to try and make into pretty pictures. So, at the moment, there's a lot of AI happening. Actually, this is a good point. There's a lot of AI happening around the world, and people's data is not safe. And data sovereignty is a big issue I'd like us all to talk about later. And at the moment, we thought, how do we ensure artists, because my background's art, how do we ensure proper attribution and protection of Indigenous knowledge? What about language? What about a lot of these really unique cultural knowledge points? So a lot of companies are saying, people just want an end result. But what about the process? What about bringing people in together? So Muzo is a platform that does that. And we don't want AI to take over our processes. We want to do stuff with AI. So, yeah, here's another thing. So, music is now becoming a hugely unrealised area. So we've got the creative economy will be 10% of the actual GDP globally in 2030. And that's because of wonderful things like Canva. People would never think themselves as a designer can suddenly do amazing things, you know, or think they can do amazing things. I don't know if people realise, but about 10.7 million people per week in Australia create some kind of bespoke bit of thing, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, but there's nothing being done in music. You borrow some music, and people are so hardwired to music, to our souls, you know. So there's a huge opportunity. Nothing much has been done, except for now there's a bit of stuff happening. And so the last thing, how am I going for time?
Great.
Amazing.
Damn it. Okay, so this is the idea. The first part I said it's for everyone. So no skills or skills, musicians alike. And so here, I love what you're doing, Lisa. Basically, neurodivergent people have so many ways of representing their thoughts and ideas. It may not be talking or writing into a phone. People have learning difficulties or learning superpowers. And it may be shaking your phone to do a rhythm, or it may be looking at an image, or maybe all sorts of technologies that we haven't yet discovered. So we want to have as diverse as music excels. We want a unique input. Collaborative environment, I said that before, that's what I think we should be aiming for with AI, not a service at us. Hey, make me an image. It does it at you, but instead does it with us. The next part I've already spoken about, protects IP, but I also want to say one thing. Our intellectual property policies mimic the old way. So if you imagine songlines and our traditional knowledge, it was so beautifully kept. It was uncorruptible, thousands and thousands of years. That's hundreds and hundreds of generations. And one song would go all the way through and it wouldn't change. So how do we mimic these already ancient principles into modern constructs? And so that's what kind of led us to this idea of organic AI, which is something we're playing with. It's a new idea that we've created. And that is that instead of ripping off other artists, we can trace back mathematically where these things came from and add to it, use blockchain, honour people's IP, things like that. So that's a little bit of a washy explanation, but we're trying to get Indigenous principles and tie them to modern technologies. And then what does this do? This allows users to create music as unique as what you are, instead of the generic kind of radio stuff. So I'll just ignore, this is our product roadmap. So this is the last part. We decided to test this out with some wonderful people all around the world. Here's a small amount of our cohort. You might know Will, the Dig player. So, how would he use it to do Mad Max, the next film script for George, And we're trialling, prototyping to try and create an instrument for people, but using Indigenous thinking, principles, and also there's one more point. Keep saying that, sorry. There's only about 20 more points. So instead of kids going in a summer job and picking fruit, how about, because we've got to tag data, how about we take music libraries, both what we've created, both what we've been given and what we've paid for, and we tag that data in data centers, and we teach kids AI. It's like DJing. So you listen to a song, oh, that's a happy emotion, tag it. Oh, that's a trombone, tag it. And we also upskill them. So instead of walking away, summer job, no extra skills, we're forward thinking, we're giving all these kids future proofing. They can take those skills, we can mentor them, they can walk all around the world, and we can do, not just kids, anyone. But anyway, that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Hand over to the lovely.
Questions just waiting for the panel.
Yeah.
Geez, that's a hard act to follow.
No.
I don't think I'm greedy. I've got 2 sets of slides. Hi everyone, Lisa Sarago, Bundaburra, I've got to get my own mob right. Bundaburra, Yidinji and Yalanji from far north Queensland. So I'm a long way from home, but I live here on Bunjil country now. CEO and founder of Land on Heart Foundation. And also I'll talk about Tiddas and tech, and I've got my bespoke earrings and my t-shirt on today to talk about that as well. So basically what Land on Heart Foundation is, it's a charity. It took a long time to get there, but we got there finally. And our whole purpose is getting black holes into tech, basically. We want, I actually grew up in Cape York, so remote communities is in my heart. And so we really want to take that to remote and regional areas as well. So we do work in the metropolitan areas, but that's our main focus. We have 3 main key objectives. So the first one's around providing that strategic and cultural direction to ensuring that we've got Indigenous people participating in the digital economy. The second one is the strategic and cultural inclusive approach around investment through philanthropic and government and non-government agencies and corporates to assist with getting Indigenous people participating into the digital economy. And the third one is around the same thing, it's cultural inclusion and strategic direction to get Indigenous people actually participating in education and training and employment pathways. So there are 3 main areas. So why do we exist? So there was a report that came out through the ADAI, which is the Australian Digital Inclusion Agency. And through that report, they found that there was about a 20% gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people around digital inclusion and digital literacy. So they had a deeper dive and they explored a little bit more around Indigenous people across Australia. And they found a number of barriers. The three main ones that I always focus on is access. So it's access to internet connectivity. There's a lot of people, and it's not just remote communities, even people in metropolitan areas don't have connectivity in their homes. Affordability, and that's affordability again. In some areas, they only have one carrier, for example, so there's no competition to be able to get the cheapest plan, but also just can't afford it because of where people are, as well as affordability of hardware. So there's a lot of communities out there where people don't actually have access to laptops or phones. And I remember I moved here with my family 2020 January, so just before COVID. I was working at UTS, and when we all went into lockdown, we went on this big drive to try and get devices for a lot of Indigenous kids that didn't have laptops. My kids are included because I was one of those mothers who was like, you're not getting on the internet. Then I shot myself in the foot, didn't I? Ability is the other one. So clearly, if you don't have access to internet and you don't have hardware, you're not going to know how to use the internet. So they were the main ones. The other part of what we're focusing on is there's a target 17 in closing the gap. And it says that by next year, which is like 5 months away, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have equal access to the internet and digital connectivity. So that's most probably not going to happen. And we also focus on that because for me, I thought, closing the gap, and you've got this massive gap over here in the digital sector, so the other indicators that we want to focus on is employment, economic participation and education. So we know that we can actually do some really cool stuff in the tech space. And technology, actually, the tech industry is so unique because it actually enables us to be able to provide opportunities around employment and entrepreneurial activities for mob on country. They don't have to leave, they don't have to come into the Sydney or into Melbourne. I tell you, a lot of my family don't like coming to Sydney and they won't. So I'm very rare. They prefer to stay on country. So, this is one of the very unique industries. Just wanted to, I'm trying to talk really fast and I'm very good at it. So third largest industry, fastest growing industry. So there was reports that came out from TCA Tech Council Australia that said by this year, we'll have a talent gap of 186,000. By 2030, we'll need 600,000 more tech workers. 219,000 of those will be junior roles. And AI could potentially create 200,000 jobs. Right now, there's only just over 1,000 Indigenous people in the tech industry. That's not tech roles either. That includes idiots like me that don't know anything about tech. So I just found out that you can use. I'm just joking. I know how to use. I know how to use GPS. That's how I got here today. The other beautiful thing about tech is we've got a diversity of pathways. 43% of people in tech don't have a university degree. There's so many different ways, and I do a lot of panels and I talk to a lot of people in the tech industry, especially black fellas, and I always hear this, I didn't go the normal pathway. I said, I don't think any. I've met one person who works at Google that actually came from high school all the way through to uni and actually went into Google. So, there's so many different pathways, so we know that we can create different pathways out on country. The other thing is AI, the amount, how it's moving so fast can actually provide us with opportunities to be able to come up with different ways of creating employment and developing new tech, as well as possibilities in employment and economic development and entrepreneurialism. So the way we work is we collaborate. I love collaborating and partnering with people. So we're working with tech companies, big and small, other organisations that want to work with us as well as education and training, because we need that stuff happening as well. And then obviously the foundation of all of it is our Indigenous communities, because at the heart of Land on Heart is self-determination. So we need to make sure that we're working with our communities to identify what exactly it is that they want, so that we can actually pull all the other partners and collaborators in and meet our goals. So there's two parts of it. It's building up the Indigenous tech pipelines through those education to employment pathway programs. We've got one hopefully rolling out in Melbourne over the next few weeks, which is really amazing. Digital literacy programs, we know we have to start at the start in some of our communities, so we need to actually start from the ground up. And scholarships and sponsorships as well, because we are a charity. The other part is we have to jump into the tech industry to help build up their cultural capability and their cultural inclusivity. So we have a cultural capability framework activities. We also have education programs, including a volunteer program, so that especially the tech industry, they can have their tech experts come in and actually do some volunteer work on country with their mob. And that way they start learning more about our people as well. And cultural appreciation, so actually going in there and helping educating them internally. We also have a very unique mentoring platform which looks at Sophia, which is a catalogue of digital skills, for want of a better word. And the idea is people can go in and assess themselves against a range of job entry level positions in the tech industry. They get a report on what they're competent in and what they need to work on, and they're set up with a mentor to help them achieve that competency. So that's super amazing, and it's the first for Indigenous Australians here, and we're partnering with the wonderful Skills TX, who've rolled this out in South Africa and Canada. And the wonderful Hawthorn map to just show how diverse we are. Our big dream is Indigenous tech skills hubs in our regional and remote communities. So we're starting there with digital skills, and we provide a platform for them to be able to continually grow, and they can choose, if they want to continue, and that's where our partnership comes in from corporates and from other education programs, including our mentoring platform. And also focusing on entrepreneurial where they want to. So we obviously, the other sort of thing is around donating towards our sponsorship, but also a device bank. So we're actually looking at partnering with a tech company, Australian tech company. It's quite large actually, and they do the scrubbing of IT at the end of cycle. So there's organisations and companies that pay people to do that, and so don't pay them. Donate it to us, we'll scrub it, we'll hire blackfellas to do it, and that's their step into the industry. We're partnering with the tech companies to do that, and then they donate that back out to blackfellas on country. It's just an amazing idea that we can, and so that's the other part. So we're trying to cut out the middlemen that are trying to charge us to provide a laptop. So no, we should do it ourselves, and then we're actually increasing the Indigenous tech pool, and then Tiddas and Tech. So we held our second webinar. It's a grassroots movement. So that was our NAIDOC webinar yesterday. So Rebecca Manley won Women in Digital Program Manager of the Year. I think it was Program Manager of the Year. Works for ABC. Really amazing. So she won a mainstream category for Women in Digital last year. I was there. I was one of the judges. I stood up and gave her applause because I just thought that was amazing that we had this Indigenous talent that is being recognised on the stage, not just categorised in the Indigenous space. Blanche Reid, she is the one that's doing her PhD in the Indigenous data sovereignty stuff. And Kim Dybel, who is the Executive Manager of the Young Indigenous Women in STEM Academy with Cyril, and Anne-Marie, who also worked with the STEM Academy and also worked with me at Land on Heart and does amazing other stuff in her spare time. So basically we're a grassroots level. This is all boring stuff. But basically what we want to do is create a network. We have a network that we're starting. Like remember I said there's only over 1,000 people that are in the tech industry. So Tiddas and Tech, we know that it's white male dominated. There's very few, I can count on one hand how many Indigenous women are in leadership roles in tech. And we want to actually bring our other little Tiddas along and promote them. So we want to shine a light on who's there, elevate and celebrate them. we want to provide a platform, an online platform for a community, so that anyone in community can access resources to find out how to get into tech, where they can get daily programs happening, as well as we also want to get a podcast happening. We've already got the speakers lined up, and blogs. So it's about educating community, because the biggest barrier is actually community don't know what is actually out there and available. So I like to talk about demystifying the tech industry. So there's a whole range, and we also wanting to have a face-to-face summit get together for all the Indigenous women to come together next year. That's the plan. So that's us, and that's just about a podcast series. And I think I was pretty quick. What do you reckon?
Hey everyone, my name's Jet. I'm a Kamilaroi and Yuin man, and I work for a company called Nallawilli Bunjil. And to keep it as simple as possible, we're basically a drone company that works with traditional owners to help manage land. So I just want to paint a picture for you what it's like for traditional owners out on country. Say for example, they're monitoring weeds, they have to remove a certain invasive species. Typically they're crouching down, labeling and walking over the place. And basically what we're doing is we're helping them solve that problem with drones and introducing, drone tech to community. And we're kind of upskilling them, and we're teaching them how to improve those processes. Our solution is to upskill as many Indigenous people on country to make sure they don't have to come to the city and get a job doing something they don't want to do. They can still stay connected to their land, and we want to keep that preservation of culture. To explain a little bit more how it works, we send the drones up in the sky, and I'm going to stick on the weed example if they're removing weeds. Basically, we send the drones up in the sky and we capture as much data as possible of weeds and stuff. And we partner with some of the smartest people at CSIRO, La Trobe University, and tons of other places to build out AI models that helps detect these weeds from above. So once we get the data, you can kind of analyze it and then give that data back to the rangers and give them a map of where to kind of go there, go there, go there. So it really speeds up the process of managing land. So what this means is that we can preserve culture, we can connect back to land, and obviously we can reduce labor and let them actually enjoy themselves and not have to use so much energy. And the bigger picture, similar to all the other companies, we want to make sure more Indigenous people are in tech. We want to preserve culture, as I just said, and we want to also position our traditional owners as leaders on a global stage, because we think when we combine traditional knowledge with new technologies, we can kind of become an unstoppable force, and I think we can really find a lot of new solutions. So our vision is to empower traditional owners to be leaders in both ancient wisdom and modern technology. That's it.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
There was an M300, right? There was an M300 run, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tim. G'day everyone. Okay, so first of all, please, I'd like to thank my brothers and sisters for being here. A month late, but anyway. Really happy that I could, curate something, and now you have to listen to a boring finance company. But also, I'm here because I'm a proud saltwater man from my ancestral land, so Nallawilli people at Tebberakuna country, far northeast Tasmania. So I've been in Bidjigal lands for about 28 years. So I'm here, I'm a director of First Nations Finance. This was born about 5 years ago, and Scott is the CEO of Nallawilli Bunjil. He was meant to be here today. He's got influenza, is it part A or something? Anyway, he was in hospital yesterday. So thankfully Jet was able to jet in and be able to be here today. So we first got to know each other about 6 years ago around Indigenous entrepreneurship, and that's what we're here today to discuss. But I think we've mentioned it throughout that we do face
barriers more so than other businesses. And starting a business, scaling a business, fucking hard, right? Yeah, and the Indigenous business is even more hard because we need to think about our impact, our community, our country, our peoples. But, you know, just statistics, you know, Western SME sort of average revenue of $1.5 million, Indigenous SME $800,000. Why is that? Okay. Also, when we think about, you know, barriers, it's our education, it's our other metrics going through to university and beyond is hard. So we had a big problem, but forget the problems because we're all here. Well, actually, we're not here. When Frank comes, we'll be here to solve the wicked problems, right? So I'm coming to that session. But the opportunity was Australia has already embraced how we can actually encourage more Indigenous businesses through the Reconciliation Action Plan initiatives and the Indigenous procurement policy. However, we are leaving $50 billion on the table every year of budgets not being realised. Okay? And, you know, I've been around for a bit, and I've got another software business called Utopia, which is non-Indigenous, but we have to fight for every piece of business we need out in Utopia. But when we're looking at an Indigenous business, we've got all this opportunity, okay, but it's still not being realised. So if we can get to a 3% parity of businesses in Australia, we can capture that market, okay? So First Nations Finance was born with that mission and vision. So the mission, okay, I'm here to sell financial service products to everyone. We are not just selling to First Nations businesses, we are actually selling to corporate Australia. So I want your insurance premiums, I want your business loans, I want in later this year partnership with MasterCard, the first Nations branded corporate credit card. Okay, we are rolling out, okay, with our joint venture partner, which is Ramara, which is a $2.5 billion asset management firm. We are Australia's first non-bank lender. Okay, so we are loaning up to $100 million in one transaction. Okay, so we are after the big end of town. Okay, however, our sustainable finance model is that 70% of our profits move into our foundation, and our foundation will unlock an Indigenous Business Academy. Okay, the last 15 years of my life has been in developing entrepreneurial education centres at universities in towns and regions across mostly New South Wales, but now I need to do it for ourselves. Okay, so boring products, yep, but they're boring for a reason, okay, because there's no risk in taking out an insurance premium. Well, there's no risk of getting a loan, okay? So there's unconscious bias in Australia. You know, we are facing those barriers, and part of those barriers are unconscious bias. You know, a big statistic I always anchor myself to is a big study report of 11,000 Australians. 75% still have an unconscious bias towards Indigenous Australians. However, buying an insurance premium with a backer that can loan up to $100 million in one transaction, we're not going to default, okay? We're not going to not turn up tomorrow, okay? So this is why we've moved into, well, this is two reasons why we've moved into finance, because there's not, you know, there's an underrepresentation of Indigenous employees, which we're tackling as well. So to maximise our impact, we need to be commercial, okay, from day one. we need to be market competitive. Okay, number one. Our target for Indigenous employment is 40%. Okay, we want Indigenous employees to stay at Indigenous organisations. They stay with us 8 times longer than another company. Okay, and as I mentioned, okay, 70% of our profits are reinvested into our foundation, okay, and going to be unlocking this opportunity for Indigenous entrepreneurs. We're about to ink our first car finance deal. That should produce $700 million a year in car finance for Australia's largest novated lease company. Okay, that will bring $10 million of profit into First Nations finance a year. We'll take 3 for, you know, a few parties and things like that. But $7 million goes into our foundation, okay, which will allow us this place-based entrepreneurship model to give, you know, to organisations such as Lisa's. Good. Yeah, the champions in their own disciplines, in their own regions. You know, I'm not controlling everything. I'm providing the opportunity. Okay, so this is why it needs to be done. We need 78,000 First Nations businesses. Any idea how many we got right now? Shout it out.
100?
3,000?
No, about 15,000.
Okay.
Okay, probably 12 of those are probably well under the $800,000 revenue target. Okay, so we create this self-sustaining social ecosystem. Okay, it's not just education. Okay, it's advising, it's mentoring, it's connecting the shared services of Indigenous accountants, lawyers, HR professionals together, because I know that an ecosystem grows together. So we grow the businesses, but the biggest business sector of the entrepreneurship ecosystem is the support for businesses. So we need to bring those Indigenous businesses up as well. And also I get to be a venture capitalist, sort of, and have our own seed fund. Okay, so this academy, okay, it's in partnership with the Scale Institute. I know the director very well. It's actually me.
How well do you know?
And Ben is a somewhat contributor to that. Okay, but 15 years in, you know, entrepreneurship education. Okay, Ramara, our obviously finance partner, and the Pauline E. McLeod Foundation, which is our foundation that allows us to grow independently, but also socially sustainable. So this fund is actually a capital injection fund to these businesses. We take obviously collateral from their business, but when they can sustainably pay it back, they pay it back, okay, and we give them 100% of their business back. Because it's in our foundation, we're not using it like other capital investment companies are, you know, taking equity and being part of their successes. We need self-determination, okay? We need intergenerational wealth, and these businesses will have that because they don't have someone else's money on, you know, conflict on the cap table. So that's me, and that's us, and that's what we're doing. So there you go.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
That's all right.
I told you they were awesome. So we're going to switch modes. Everyone take a breath.
Yep.
Talk to your neighbour. We're switching gears. Hopefully no one bolted for the doors. We're now for the fun part. Well, the even more fun part, where they get to disagree with each other and you get to ask them questions. And just Tshinta's going to make it all happen. So I'm out of the way again. Over to you. Thank you.
Hey, tell him to shut up.
Yeah, to the PowerPoint.
Awesome. So we just heard some brilliant and amazing innovation and entrepreneurship in the space and creating huge impact. And now the floor's over to you. So any questions that you have, feel free to go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just I mean, I'd love to talk to you about volunteering because I've been kind of looking for something. But I work in federal, and there's a lot around procurement and Indigenous, and like we have to go out to Indigenous companies. And the last time, like I work in hiring contractors, and the last 2 times there were no responses. So I was like, I guess it's not a question, it's more like there's an avenue, I think, in government that could be explored for tech and roles in tech that don't, design, product, BA, all that kind of stuff. So.
And it depends, I think there's different panels for different things, and I know there was the digital marketplace, but I don't know how many times I tried to apply and they said we're not taking any more people, so
really?
Yeah.
It's
So it's really hard to get in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely got to be explored. So
Yeah.
I'm putting up my hand to help at all.
Thank you. And is there any other questions? Yeah.
Sorry, thank you for my art, that was beautiful. I feel like a lot of people, I mean, myself included, I ended up going up to Northeast Arnhem-Land as part of, my fiance did a Jarman placement. And I met some amazing women artists at Yukala where they sold art, amazing. And then also these young guys who came and spoke language but didn't speak much English to me. And the internet cut out every time it rained. And I guess my question is how do we also shift those minds? I was quite surprised about some of the stats, but also I'm so impressed by all of your stories. Thank you. But how do we help to shift the hearts and minds and make those connections so that all the different languages and cultures are celebrated across this country?
Can I start just a little point? That's something that I think songlines have been a little bit lost. There's a lot of research being done on the ability to reconstruct language as well. Just take it from a different perspective. But one of the points of Muzo is that people have a lot of stories that they don't know how to tell. It could be song and music. And a beautiful guy called Yoramo, who I met from up there, and his dad was down here last week, who's now the frontman of Yothi Hindi. And they're doing a Yolnu exhibition at the moment. And there's a few more days for him doing this thing in the tank downstairs. And this is, it's amazing. And so it's really hard for us people in the city to have connection to people, but 10 times more hard for people in those communities, because that's where our country is, it's Borroloola, near there. It's the most beautiful country. I've gone completely off question.
That's just basic, right?
It's just, my brain went on country. But so I think language, my dad spoke language, and when he was taken away, that was all assimilated out of him. But that's what I was going to say. So a lot of that's being reconstructed. You can work out the start and the ends of phrases, and based on regions, you're able to reconstruct stuff that's been lost. So there is hope. There's some magic stuff happening that combines technology and some of that stuff that's scary to lose,
I'm coming from a different angle. My dream is that we will have language models, little language models for each of our different languages. Working in those communities, especially if you're trying to do digital literacy and it's all in English, that's super hard. So ensuring that we're able to, and I think tech is the one that we're going to be able to preserve and also help teach and grow the language again. How to get people engaged in that, I think it's more around advocating and having a voice for informing government policy and getting that change around where it's Indigenous, it has to be Indigenous led. Especially in the tech industry, telling the wonderful non-Indigenous people who are there as our allies speaking for us, stop, and let us speak. And the people in community will have a voice as well. And I think that's why I'm passionate about tech. Tech will give them a voice, and it doesn't matter where they're living. And hopefully the connectivity, and I used to be a CEO of an organisation right up the top of Cape York, and yes, the internet would go out every time it rained. And we have 6 months of wet and 6 months of dry, so that's real fun. But I know that there's more and more awesome technology happening where we're hopefully going to be able to get that internet connectivity happening out wherever you are in Australia, because we have got a diverse country.
And actually there's a school, and Shannon and I'm doing a project together at Dorrigo at the moment. They teach out of Coast Harbour in language. I was so surprised to hear that. Wonderful school, all done in language. Beautiful.
So I just came off a 2-week teaching assignment at UTS, because I do that to get away from boring insurance or business loans. But Frank's taught into this before. Ben might have taught into it, but it's a subject. The first subject of the Bachelor of Creative Intelligence and Innovation. It's called Problems to Possibilities, and we really try to help just the kids, you know, get rid of their judgment, get rid of their preconceived ideas, but also get rid of the notion that there's no such thing as a bad idea. Yeah. So I think, you know, this is not an Indigenous question. This is a human behaviour question. We need to just take things for a walk.
On the topic of like language, I think it'd be pretty interesting, because I learn a lot like with AI. I'll chat with it in the car, it's on voice chat. So like if we could build out like models with, you know, in keeping like, what would you say, like data sovereignty, or like making sure it doesn't get leaked out, making sure it like stays safe. If we can do stuff like that, and someone like me who's lost a lot of culture can interact with those models in a way that's like secure, and I can say, hey, how do I say this in my traditional language? Because I'm someone who has a bit like lost a lot of culture, you know, through assimilation or like grandparents getting taken away. Like I'm like a product of that. So like if I can reconnect through like models and like personal one-on-one learning, especially if like elders, they might not be able to talk all night long, but you could talk to an AI model all night about these things, and yeah, that doesn't exist right now, but that would be pretty helpful.
And do you know the thing about like losing part of your culture?
Yeah.
That's now most of us.
No,
so
exactly,
there's no such thing as now the old way.
Yeah.
We're building this amazing new synthesis of new culture. So I really love the idea that, oh, hang on, I'm not valid or whatever because I don't have this connection. There used to be this huge guilt like that. That's crap, you know? What about all this amazing reconnection? We always used to create new culture. That's the whole point of Indigenous. It was synthesising, bringing together new technologies way before settlement. So I'd love us to get back to that somehow. It's like building, not shame, you know?
Yeah, I like that, like creating new ideas, not just thinking about old ways to do things. And like, because I feel like with Indigenous, we kind of have these stereotypes. Like, it has to be like, well, you know, you have ideas in your head that you're thinking, but like, we can move beyond that, integrate that as well. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And it's particularly important. I've worked out in remote communities, especially with language, and also working with the Indigenous Literacy Foundation, how important language and that strength in culture and knowledge and cultural knowledge, and passing that on to our little babies as well. Do we have any other questions? Yep.
Can I stand up? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, please.
To Jet first. So we just, NAIDOC week is our first week, so we've just started burning up on country, Gidable country. We were the first nation after Marlborough to get our time. So we need a drone, we need to do our... So we've been looking for drone training actually over the last couple of weeks, so I don't know if we can connect with you.
Well, I'll definitely speak to you and get some contact information.
Because we are, we've actually got the funding for it, so we need to get some drone training. I think, not all of us, I think there's only going to be 4 at the moment. So we'll be...
Well, definitely, I'll speak to you after and get your details.
You've got to be in BD mode, man.
That's good.
That's the first thing that I want to speak to you about. And just like everyone said, like the weeds and stuff, we're going to miss out this time on the before footage, but our next project is coming up soon, so we meet before and then the after. So that's probably something that you can help
should
with.
tell her about your multispectral stuff.
Yeah, so we don't just do one type of capture. We have like RGB, it's kind of just normal imagery, but we also do like hyperspectral, which can detect, you know, a whole band of information, not just like the you know, RGB imagery, I guess. So we have like LiDAR as well. We can build out like models of land and stuff. So there's all these different.
Be able to see if there's a sacred site or something.
Yeah, definitely. We can definitely find that, identify it, and then create models to get the data and then kind of come back to it and see if it's either breaking down or you can just track and make sure it stays.
And you can track it over time as well.
Yeah,
the chronological stuff.
I'm the ambassador.
And only CSI. Yeah, I'm taking commissions. We'll take commission of your budget for that. Yeah. So yeah, and only CSIRO and them have this level of spectral analysis. There's only 2 of them that exist. So.
Well, I've seen it lately with the Amazon and stuff like that, and I didn't realise we could do it here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll speak to you and see what you need. We'll talk about exactly what you need, and we can work back from that. Yeah, we can definitely figure it out. Yeah.
You know, new innovation, that would be amazing because at the moment national parks are fighting back against us.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. I don't care.
Yes. National parks don't start any
sound.
So national parks, so they're saying that we're not really innovative and stuff like that. So we're trying
to
get there.
We need to we need to introduce like these technologies so we can say, hey, we're on the forefront of this, and like you need to respect what we're doing, you know. So
and then like on the other thing too with our language, so our tribe's been studied for since the settlement. And now they've been taken over and saying, no, you're Bunjil. No, we are not. Our old people always said, no, we're different. No, we're different. But because Bunjil is growing now, we need to get our old recordings back into, because we've got our old people talking. We've got it's all down in our access, and we need to bring it into the new era.
That's beautiful.
And stop people like people over in Gold Coast stealing our language. Because it's happening a lot now.
And the good thing, I just parallel that to legal constructs, is that with AI, it became very clear that you had to silo legal information. You couldn't let one lot leak from the other lot. Yet how do you access the greater data sets for that power? It's the same as this crap that's being built with images. You can do great images, but what about access to your own libraries? So we've done the opposite. We've got our own silos of local knowledge, like language, but we also want access to the bigger. But how do you guarantee that? So it's perfect setup for language, and we're at the front of that, in Australia.
One of the languages, a linguist or whatever, named Margaret Sharp, she's up there working with them now.
Good.
So she actually did our dictionary in the 80s.
Yes, yep.
Right, and so it's actually on YouTube. You can see her really stealing our language right in the public. She says, how do you say something like for a new concept like a computer mouse? And she goes, good. And that's our language for mouse.
Yes,
that's our native. So they've got no shame in doing it either.
No.
So we really need to preserve what our old people have left for us and pass on what's legitimate to the next generation. We can't just allow someone who doesn't have language to come in and take another person's language either.
And we have to
that's the cultural intellectual property that we
we
were talking about.
I've created a document around that, like cultural intellectual property, but because we're so small, I don't have one person that's university educated. We're going up against someone that went over to France and became a linguist, and how do we compete with that? We just don't have the capability. So AI is going to be our tool.
It's such a wonderful tool. It can be done to do so much stuff, and government can't really, they can try and legislate stuff, but it's a decentralisation of power. So it's perfect for us, which we're very community-based power. So it's been a lot of great opportunities.
Can I just add to, so Indigenous data sovereignty, we were just talking about this. I was on a panel with another person who's doing her PhD on it, setting up frameworks. That will be your power, that will be your pathway to self-determination, because once you start owning and controlling your own data for your mob, including your language, your culture, your resources, your land, your country, everything, then you control that and you can tell who can access it. And because you've got all these consultancy companies out there for years, decades, collecting data of our people for free. Our mob haven't been paid for it, but they're making lots of money. So that is your pathway.
I agree with you. So that's
tech is the way to do it.
And on that, what Jet and I was speaking about after is once you've established that, you can have blockchain with music or data or image to then attribute, this bit of song came from this person, and then it went to this, even in a collaborative environment, Then it went to Kylie Minogue. It used a bit of her data. Thank you, she allowed us, because we've got licensing agreement if you choose it. But I'm serious. You can then modulise and respect IP all the way back to the old way, you know?
Yeah. And we're getting that thing that's like, you're just being prejudiced against the people that don't have connection to their culture.
Yeah.
You're being prejudiced against those people that don't have language or was
Yep.
stolen. My father was taken from Redfern
Yep.
in 1937, wasn't returned until 1945. We grew up, we were lucky enough to, you brought us up
Yeah.
there.
Who's your dad, by the way?
Ray Vincent.
Oh, yeah.
He passed away now.
Yep.
And my mum started the first SydDT program in the whole of Australia, Margaret Vincent. That
Awesome.
started down in Redfern.
Awesome.
They're
Yep.
both gone now, but
Yep.
so it's just hard to
Yep.
then navigate through that too. So I do have connection to my culture.
Yep.
But I'm being told, oh, you're being aggressive. Oh, you shouldn't be saying that. But they're stealing our language.
Yep.
So I think I'll be connecting with
Please.
you.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk.
And just for the record.
Just go, please.
Wonderful.
Ben,
just
are
for
you
the
going to
record-
get a finder's fee? I'm not
We
sure.
haven't talked about
Did we waive that? Did we waive that right?
No, we've blockchained it already. Yeah. And just for the record, there are some lovely Bunjil
Well,
ones.
I need to speak. Look, my great grandfather was.
I know, I'm just joking, but as you know.
But we've been trying to get funding to start our RTO. We're getting blocked. So RTOs hire us to do the training, but they're the ones that are getting funding. We
Yeah.
need to cut the middleman out, and it's been just like you said, that barrier we can't break through.
Yep. Thank you. That's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Wonderful.
Powerful. Do we have further questions? Thank you. Okay. I might throw you some questions.
Ooh.
How much time we got left then?
12 minutes.
Keep going? Okay. All right.
Until Michelle kicks us out.
Till the pizza's gone.
This I'll throw to anyone. What does designing with country mean to you, and how do you embed innovation into your business that is grounded in culture? Maybe Chet?
Or does Tim want to answer for him?
I'm just
I've got my commissions tonight. I'm not greedy.
No, shut up, Tim.
Can you repeat it one more time,
Sick
sorry?
of being silenced.
What does designing with country mean to you, and how do you embed innovation into your business that is grounded in culture?
I feel like just being on ground with the people literally on their land, because we're going to be working across multiple, at least for our business, working across multiple lands and parts of country. So making sure we're actually communicating with the people who live there and taking into account their way of life and not just coming in and saying, this is how we do it. It's like having a conversation, not just directly telling them, here's how we do it. We say, how would you like to do it? And then we find a mutual agreement. So I think that's kind of how we design systems to solve that. Yeah.
So good.
I'd like to add to that. Sorry, I showed the Hawthorne map on purpose. So there's over 240 different nations. So everything that we do when we're on country is to be working with mob, like you were saying. So for me, when you're designing, I keep going on about Indigenous led. It has to be Indigenous. If it's for us, it needs to be by us, and that is from the start of the design phase all the way through to the end of the project. So. Absolutely agree with what you're saying, and yeah, even if we're blackfellas, we still have to go in and be respectful and work with mob on country.
Yep. Can I say a random thing about the Hawthorne map? It's so wonderful. People do welcome to country, and it was always about, because we've got signs and postcodes and street names, but before it was you'd stop, you'd do a sound or you'd do some language, and then the people in the next country would say where it starts and ends, because over generations that would shift. And then it was in South Australia University that Dad, with two other people in the 70s, drew that map. And it's not meant to be a fixed map. So it's the idea that you're doing stuff on country, it changes all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the whole...
It's not accurate. My mob's not up there either.
There you go. Sorry, Dad.
But it does get, it's just a visual to just show.
Yeah.
I used to tell people, think about Europe, and Australia's even bigger than that.
Yep, that's right.
But I think on that map, there's no hard lines. There's
Exactly.
No.
This is New
So
South
borders.
Wales, this is Queensland.
It's zones and they shift from generation and season.
Thank you. And I agree with that as well, Lisa, because where my family are from in Burke, it's a middle point for a lot of different nations, and yeah.
Yeah, contentious.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I've got another question, and this can be, I would love to hear your thoughts. Can you share more about your regenerative business model that aligns with profit and purpose or impact? Or maybe how that aligns with profit and purpose and impact?
Oh, mine's easy,
Yeah.
because it's 70% of our profits get reinvested into the foundation. So I think from a profit perspective, we're only taking what we need, and then the impact is, the strategy is, 245 businesses every year.
Mine's easy, 100% is all about what. So it's charity.
And for me, my Bunjil's part of like the same umbrella as First Nations Finance. We operate with the same charity, so part of our, I guess, profits go into that as well. So it's kind of how that works for us. Yep. I don't know too much of the financials, I'll be honest with you, but that's where.
But I think
comes
the
in.
impact for Bunjil is traditional owners get back their land.
Upskilling and.
So it's not national parks having the rich data anymore.
And ours is in two parts. So we decided in our development, we don't want to outsource it to overseas. We want to empower kids, like I said before, but also to have a foundation so that when we have the attribution of copyright, we have money coming back into the Muzo Foundation to then empower other AI technologies and see where that goes.
Amazing. And I might throw this question to you, Tim. We were talking about IP and copyright. How do you suggest organisations build culturally safe pathways and long-term impact?
One, I think it comes down to intention. And two, I think you were talking about unconscious bias. I think that people don't actually think there's that much value. And that's why we said, well, we're actually translating, and like you were doing, translating literal Indigenous wisdom structures that dictate security policies. How are people going to trust us? We're going to mimic the way songlines, which is ironclad stuff. So if we can prove that we can, have that kind of a relevancy, I think that's a good way to do that. Want to start?
Did anyone else want to touch on? So we'll move on to my last question. We're celebrating the 50th years of honouring and elevating Indigenous voices, culture and resilience through our NAIDOC celebrations. What does this year's theme mean to you? And I'll open the floor.
I'll go first. So it's pretty much aligned with tech, right? It's about our future, and that's all what Land on Heart Foundation and Tiddas and Tech's all about. So for me, it's a very special year because I'm turning 52, and I was born here in Sydney. So, for me, it's definitely about. Again, I was talking about how I see tech as the way that is going to help us with self-determination, and it's not just about employment and economic opportunities and entrepreneurial, like even the stuff with rangers, working on country, making sure that we actually take back our data. And we use that and we control that because we know that on October the 14th, 2023, it was used against us. And that is still happening every time 26th of January pops up, NAIDOC Week pops up, anything that is supposed to be significant to our people, that data gets used against us. And my dream is to have an army of data analysts across Australia, so especially in our remote and regional areas, the more that we have Indigenous people actually designing, collecting, analysing data for our own people, that is going to be our future, and that's how I see tech working.
Thank you so much.
For me, personally, because I feel like I'm still quite young, it's about setting an example for my peers, my family, and like people I interact with to show them there are different pathways, because a lot of the kids I knew growing up, like they're kind of doing more traditional work, I guess. They don't know anything about technology just through lack of awareness, like you said, in a lot of the communities. They just need to demystify it to know what's out there, because you don't know you don't know, obviously. So for me, just to continue learning, and whenever I find something, I always tell people about it. I'm a bit annoying about AI, like you gotta try this new tool. So like, and just continuing to do that and like be a leader in that space, because
for me, it's experiencing this shift in, I think, positivity joy and a confidence that we're seeing with white and non-white organisations wanting to do stuff together. And I think we're starting to see that authentically. And that when I think, oh, there's a 50-year mark, and those words that we read there, I actually feel that some of that stuff's happening, less negative and more positive. And that's really exciting. And I think a lot of positive stuff will grow exciting stuff, not negative. And the negative's important too. I very much hear people's trauma, but that makes me feel very positive.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about just weeks of things. I was part of Spark Festival, which is was Australia's largest innovation entrepreneurial sort of event over the week, and we just compete with each other. Yeah, so when NAIDOC Week, Reconciliation Week comes up, we're also competing with everyone to try and have,
Be seen.
Yeah, be seen.
Yeah.
I really liked what Ben said before. It was like, yes, this is a week, but we need the whole year to execute on all these ideas and things like that. So I don't like the fact that, we compete enough as Indigenous businesses or Indigenous peoples. And that's why it's just as hard to, have a business. We don't collaborate as well as our peers.
But we are the original networkers.
We are.
Yep.
But our history, our systems that the government, that society has put on us are these black boundaries, right? And not we're in between. Yep. So I'm starting to talk like Tim. Not sure where the question lands, but I guess
learn
for me, it's not about us. It's not about them. It's about all of us together. Like I need corporate Australia. I need everyone to get on board to give me our revenues to then support our people. So it can't happen without.
Yep. Definitely need the allies there.
So that's what NAIDOC always means to me.
And as I say to my girls, you're Aboriginal every single week of the year.
Yeah,
It's not just
true.
this week, but it's this week to be celebrated with our allies as well.
That's great.
I might open up to the floor just one more time for any last questions before finishing the panel. Yep.
I think it's the one for all of you, but seeing how fast technology has changed, and you've experienced that exponentially, even me over my last 29 years, what has been the biggest change you've seen in technology and its impact within your experiences?
I feel like for me personally, I grew up with the internet. I was like, as soon as I was 12, I had like a...
I didn't.
Can I backhand here?
What's the internet?
I had like a
Do we have that now? Wow.
Basically, I had like a Facebook account when I was like 12 years old. Like I've been on there for like a long time. Everything. So I know I've been on the internet for a long time. And for me personally, the biggest change is right now. Like we're on that point right now, in my opinion. And that's like with the AI stuff. And like for me personally, I'm still blown away. I try to tell people like you have a personal assistant in your pocket. You can learn anything whenever you want. And people just like, oh, whatever, let me just write my essay for me. Like you have a tool to build apps, to build products, and like people just overlook that. But I think like, yeah, people will realize, I think a lot of people in this room probably understand the potential of it already. But yeah, that's for me, I think right now is the biggest change. Yeah.
Well, I'm Gen X, clearly. So I grew up in the muck around and find out phase, and we had to meet someone on time and not worry about mobile phones at a particular space.
Use your
and
landline.
look up references to get there. Yeah, exactly. So I saw dial-up come in. I saw the first mobile phones, which were about this big.
NEC Sports.
I don't know what that is. Don't know everything about tech. But yeah, I have to agree. Right now is pretty scary in a way, but also very fast. And I think I was saying that anyway in my presentation. It's the fastest growing industry. The tech is moving so fast, it's very hard to catch up, and I'm in the tech industry, so that's my perspective.
Like the way you flipped the narrative and said that, you know, AI is going to give you opportunity and jobs as opposed to taking away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
flip.
Yeah. It can be. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, AI no doubt is moving much faster than the internet did. But again, you know, it's about the ethical and sort of responsibility of how we use it. I mean,
wasn't it the printing press that was your inspiration?
Yeah.
Gutenberg?
Yeah. So my old boss.
Get him back.
My old boss said to me, "You can't think outside the box until you know the box intuitively." So that, I mean, I talked about that earlier. We, you know, just came off that 2-week student subject, and we asked them to use AI, but we asked them to triangulate the research so that, you know, you're not just thinking that the box, is going to bring you the silver bullet, because it never does and it never will.
My answer's a little bit more internal than that. So I talked about my wonderful dad. My mother's experience with my mother hasn't been so positive, and I won't say too much here, but when I discovered 3D and music kind of in high school in software, I suddenly had this world that I could explore and do my own thing. And oh wow, a thought that I can have can actually become something, and it wasn't really controlled. So yep, internet, AI, all that stuff, I'd like to see that mimic with this other stuff, but that was my kind of aha moment, was when it's like, oh wow, I can do things myself. And that was definitely technology. So I couldn't draw or anything like that. So.
Cool. Awesome. Any, yep, Ben?
I'll go last.
Yep. Anybody?
One question for Tim: if you had one more point, what would it be?
There's always time for more points. And don't be bullied by Stephen. Yeah. No. Talk less would be my point. I try to have insight, you know.
Awesome. Any other questions? Ben?
Thanks. But my question is, and you've talked a bit about it, because you're all doing awesome stuff, but how can we amplify the awesome stuff you're already doing?
But maybe connections with individual people after this. Like, so many exciting things. I'd love to talk to some people and see what you guys are doing. That's me. Sorry, I'm talking more.
Yeah,
I think connect with us, tell people, like talk, have conversations. I think like, because we're going to go home, you need to go home to your own families and friends and say, hey, I heard this interesting thing. Do your own research. And I think it comes down to the individual to like, it's on you to like make an effort, because we're doing what we're doing. It's on like everyone.
Share in your workspaces. Share our. Join us on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Share our posts.
Forgot
share
that
our posts. You know, when
technology.
you see posts coming out, because you're going to be my number one connection. Like, share our posts and have those conversations, like Jet was saying, and in the workplace as well as, you know, at the family barbecue, and say all this amazing tech that's happening in communities, and we need to grow it because it's so small at the moment.
Yeah, just give me money.
No. Oh yeah, me too.
You're meant to
I was braver. No, get off the fence, right?
Yeah.
Get off the fence, and you know, just have a viewpoint, but be open to being wrong, right? You know, we've walked on eggshells for so long. I see this all the time. Like, UTS has a policy that I can't let students go out and talk to First Nations mob.
That's nuts.
And I tell them, fuck
insane.
that.
Sorry.
Go out. You've got 2 hours. Go out and talk to someone.
Good.
Find a black
But,
colour.
you know, whether
any colour.
whether it's like, oh, do I call them First Nations or Aboriginal or Indigenous?
you want.
Doesn't matter. If you offend, we will tell you. And everyone does, right? That's human nature. So get off the fence.
Walk with us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
Awesome. Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much. We'll give the panelists a round of applause for their amazing insights and deep And thank you to the audience as well for engaging.
And a big one for our...
A big final applause for Tshinta, Tim, Jet, Lisa, Stephen,
And Ben!
That was awesome.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
And
Thanks for the input. We'll have to have a
we play on, as I mentioned. So, actually that's not working, that's all good. We are doing this all again next month
That's what we're
on the 14th of August. Second to Thursday is our regular cycle. So 14th of August, corporate therapy. Are we going to do a show and tell of Lucie's?
Oh, yes, please. Yep.
Did you want to bring it to the front?
Next week? Next month?
Next month we're at Atlassian. But check out, hit the QR code at Atlassian.
Yeah.
It's only a couple of letters there.
Yeah.
Sounds like Lisa's time.
Terrible.
And there we go. We'll take a photo for the video and everything else. Oh, thanks, Lucie. That's awesome. Thanks, Lucie. And so now we go to the pub. So we need to get out of here pretty quick. But we're going to the Strawberry. It's only around the corner. Thanks, everyone. And thanks again, our speakers.